this time, if you will join me in a moment of silence, that way we can all meditate in our own faith. Well, thank you. Okay, the first item of business is the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I have a couple of additions, if I may.
Are they under concerns or somewhere else on the agenda?
Under concerns.
Concerns, okay.
Number one, follow up on the mask mandate.
Okay.
And number two, an item where we need to consult with our attorney.
Okay, so you want me to put that on item 10 for closed session to consult
Yes,
with
sir.
your attorney?
Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
On the commissioner concerns, if that's where we are now, I'd like an update on the evaluation of the fire hydrants, and I would like a future update on our strategy for the $1.2 million loss in our revenue from the water department if Union County were to end the contract in 2023 and not renew. So I'd like us to, maybe not tonight, but perhaps in the next meeting, we could get an update on what our strategy there is.
Okay. Okay, all right, let's see. Gatewood. Okay, anyone else?
And
Go ahead.
I know we want an update on the masks, but I would like to make sure that we can end the COVID mandate, is my concern.
And that's also my concern, and that's the approach I'll be taking, Mr. Bracken. Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay, and I've got one. I'll explain it further whenever we get there. It's under Commissioner Concerns, Petitions, Announcement, and Comments. And this is in regards to acts and a plan for some transportation. I think there's a need, and I believe this came up some back years ago because it involves SBCC, but I'll explain in detail whenever we get to that point. And also, I would just like to remind all of the board, all of us, that when we're speaking, make sure that we're close enough to the mic so that people can hear us. I think that's been a concern that's been voiced to the clerk, that people watching us on the live stream have a problem. Maybe even some people in here that's present don't hear all of us as well as they should. So just a reminder, speak loud and clear and into the mic. Okay, are there any other additions or changes to the agenda? And also, before we get into that, Commissioner Sturtevant is participating by phone line, and let's keep Commissioner Smith in our thoughts and prayers as he's having some health issues right now because of HIPAA. I'm not going to go into detail about that, but as a matter of fact, I think he's been admitted to the hospital. So it's just, like I said, keep him in our thoughts and prayers. Okay, if there are no further changes or additions to the agenda, then we'll need to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the agenda with the noted additions.
Second.
Here we have a motion from Commissioner Gatewood, seconded by Commissioner Mims, to approve the agenda with the additions. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. It is unanimous. The agenda is approved. And with that, the next item says, in accordance with the State Government Ethics Act, General Statute 138A, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matter coming before the board? If so, please identify the conflict and refrain from any undue participation in the particular matter involved. Does any commissioner have a conflict with anything coming before the board this evening? Okay, hear none, we will move on. Item 2 is the consent agenda, and hopefully everybody has read through all of the budget amendments and items under the consent agenda. And if you notice, a lot of these are because of things that's showing up in finance, either that we approved, but then that wasn't put in the budget, or things that were overlooked that we've got to cover. So, hopefully, as time goes on, this list will be reduced drastically with the finance department getting things in order. Okay, at this time, a motion to dispose of the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion from Commissioner Gatewood, seconded by Commissioner Dr. Sims to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. It is unanimous. The consent agenda is approved. Okay, we have people that have signed up for public addresses to the board. We have Mr. Bobby Johnson, and I'll just remind people that are coming before us, you have 3 minutes to make your case. Okay, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I have a very short item I would like to bring to your attention concerning the Anson Gas Producers LLC.
Okay.
Mr. Nathan Plagins and I had a very long conversation last week, and I was given this. I think most of you have seen it. This is from Mr. Plagins, and it describes what the gas producer wants to do. Attached to this is a survey permission page. This, Mr. Plagins is asking each landowner to sign so that environmentalists, other scientists can go on the property that is listed and signed here to search for a permanent place to put a gas line, which would be about 5 to 5.5 miles long. The problem with this is it's open-ended. There's no time frame. There's no dates on it other than the date that it's signed. It also states that whoever is in charge of this, and it doesn't say, whoever's in charge of this can have anyone that they choose to go on this property. Unless there's some state or county ordinance that limits this, then this will last forever. It will last until an ordinance or a law stops it. I've talked with several people about it. I think this is maybe already changed, but I'm not sure. I think everyone should be aware of it. It looks like this on the front page. Looks like this on the second page, and this is the agreement. I would wait until this is fixed. I would personally not sign this. It's an entirely poorly written agreement. I also noticed on the agenda on item number 5, the appointments of the Anson Landfill Advisory Committee. I'm very glad this has been done. I appreciate your help on this, and I appreciate you doing it. And I hope that they will work with you and solve some problems we have. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Chairman, could I make a general statement about the landfill?
Yes, Louis.
Right now, if you go on the Anson County website, go to departments, and then go to landfill, there's actually some information about this project, and there's a blank space on there for description where you can ask questions and get answers. It's not a live chat, and I certainly agree with Mr. Johnson to be concerned about certain things, but you can go on that site and you can actually ask directly to the company that's going to be in charge of this project, and within a reasonable amount of time they should get back to you. So if you have concerns, that site is up. Just go to Anson County, go to departments, go to landfill, and then you can see questions and answers, and there'll even be previous questions and answers from other people that may have had similar. So just a general statement there.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brickman. Okay, Ms. Brenda Broadway.
Good evening,
Evening.
ladies and gentlemen. What I'm here for is two things, and I hope I got enough time to mention both. First one has to do with these water bills that come out. The people in Polkton, Waysboro, they go in your yard and they know before it's time for your water bill that that bill is going to be high. And you get this big surprise in the mail of a bill that you're not expecting. My mother got a bill living in Polkton. The first one was $200. Normally her bill is like what, $60. Then she got the second one that was $500, and then there was a third one. After she fixed the first month, the second month come out with this $500, and the third month. So she turned it in thinking that it's finished because it had been fixed. And they come out with this third bill, and then she got a threat that if she didn't have the money by a certain time, it was going to get cut off. It's unfair to the senior citizens. My mother turned 88 years old on March 17th. Okay, some of us have not lived to get that age, but the senior citizens should not get a surprise that their water bill is going to be cut off because we have been not on top of it and making sure that the person that's been paying this bill has been the same all the time, that they get these surprise bills month after month after month. That's one.
Okay.
And I'm gonna piggyback off that and go to this. My god sister is planning on moving here, and they're telling her she wants to put a mobile home up, and they're telling her she needs a soil test. And when you ask questions, nobody knows what this is. Who do I go to get help for her?
Just one other thing too that I didn't mention when we started the public address to the board. During this session, we're not to provide any kind of information, we're not to respond, but we are to assign the concern to the county manager to get back with the person that has brought the concern to us. So we can't talk to you right now because you're coming public addresses to the board.
Okay.
But we will have the county manager get with you and get you pointed in the right direction.
For both items.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Jackson.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Good evening, board members.
Evening.
I just wanted to take this opportunity to come before the Board of Commissioners on tonight and acknowledge the retirement of 2 DSS employees. These are seasoned employees that have served Anson County well. Their retirement date was effective April 1st of 2022, so I just thought it was timely to make you aware. Ms. Sherry G. Pons was a social worker 3 with the Anson County Department of Social Services. She started working in March of 1992. She has been a social worker 2 and a social worker 3 for Department of Social Services for 30 years. Ms. Pond's primary duty was that of adoptions and licensing foster homes in Anson County. I also would like to acknowledge Ms. Penny J. Henson, who started at DSS as an intern when she was taking classes at South Piedmont Community College and has been there for 17 years working diligently in the food stamp or food and nutrition services program, and she retired with 17 years of experience and was a lead worker for the food and nutrition program. And I would just like to make the board aware that we have good, faithful employees at Department of Social Services that have served Department of Social Services and the citizens of Anson County well for the over combined 47 years. So just wanted to make you aware of that. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Jackson, and we do appreciate those employees, and you know we know we have some good employees and dedicated employees working for the county. Thank you. Okay, item 4, Ms. Wimp from Sand Hill Sun.
Good evening.
Evening.
I'm Victoria Witt. I'm the CEO of Sand Hill Center. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. I have to tell you, last night I was in Lee County presenting to the Lee County Commissioners and competing with the basketball game. So I was encouraged to be very quick in my presentation, so I've kind of got this down pretty quickly. So hopefully there's no basketball game tonight, but I know with the weather, I will be brief. I'm here tonight to present to you the Sand Hill Center request for county allocation, county general allocation. I do this every year. Before I do that, however, I want to thank the Anson County Commissioners for their continued support of Sand Hill Center. You have appointed 2 folks to our board. That is Commissioner Mims and Priscilla Little. We appreciate those folks. They are very active on our board. In fact, Priscilla just recently was reappointed as secretary to the board. So appreciate those appointments. Also, last Friday, 4 of the commissioners did make it to our community stakeholder breakfast. Appreciate that support, and hope if you did not get information, at least you got a good breakfast. So appreciate you being there. Tonight, my request is the same amount of money it has been for the past 18 years. The board at Sand Hills met on March the 8th and made the decision for the 18th year in a row not to request any additional funds from any of our counties. So that means my request tonight is $55,000, which is what Anson has been providing to us for years. I'll also remind you that all of those funds stay right here in Anson County in support of crisis services. Also will remind you that one of the reasons we're able to hold the line, so to speak, on the request for county dollars is that in 2012 we took on the management of Medicaid dollars. That has allowed us to adequately address the needs of folks, but however, we do still need the county dollars because Medicaid, as most of you know, comes with restrictions, whereas the county dollars we can use for folks that do not have Medicaid. So your funding is very important to our operation. This is also the time of year I will start working with your county manager and your department heads to talk about some of the reinvestment projects we have going on here in Anson County. I'll just remind you that as part of our management of Medicaid, any savings that we realize throughout the year, we're able to keep and reinvest back into the community. So here in Anson, we have 4 projects going on. We are working with your schools to provide funding for therapists in the school. We started that last year, and my understanding is that has been very successful. We also are working with the sheriff and the detention center in providing a therapist that goes to the detention center, and we're also supporting video conferencing in the detention center for the inmates. That is a company out of Durham that specializes in psychiatric services via video. And then the fourth project we're working on is transportation, working with your transportation system to get folks to day programs. For those of you who have been around as long as I have, you may remember McLaurin Center. McLaurin Center unfortunately did go out of business, but we are continuing to provide the transportation funds for the folks that went there to go to other day programs. So once again, I'll be contacting you to see if you want to continue these projects, and more importantly, or just as importantly, if there are other projects you would like to talk about. And that is something I'm having some discussions right now with Chief Spencer about some of his needs, and also with your sheriff. So you'll be hearing from me more as budget time rolls around to identify what some of the Anson County behavioral health needs are. Also want to update you on two things. I appeared before you last fall, you may remember, talking about two counties that wanted to join Sandhill Center. That was Rockingham County and Davidson County. I had to come before you to get permission to ask the secretary for additional board seats. I'm happy to report that December 1st, Rockingham and Davidson County joined Sandhill Center. We did receive additional board seats, which meant we did not have to ask any of our existing counties for those seats. So we are now a 26-member board of directors. I'm also happy to report that all of the funds to support Rockingham and Davidson County folks has been transferred to Sandhill Center. You'll remember that they had been part of the Cardinal Innovations LME MCO, which went out of business, so to speak, and all the funds, once again, to support Davidson and Rockingham have been transferred. So the addition of these counties is not costing existing counties any resources. Also want to just keep in front of you that we are still in the middle of Medicaid transformation. That means that there are private for-profit companies now operating, managing Medicaid, managing some behavioral health needs of some folks. So that means not only is Sandhills doing that now, there are 5 private companies that are doing it. We will transition to a new entity, and will be called a tailored plan after December 1st. So we'll be an LME MCO tailored plan. And the tailored plan means that we will assume the responsibility of not only managing the behavioral health needs of our folks, but also their physical health needs. So we are busy getting ready for that, and more to come as we transition into being a tailored plan. And then lastly, I want to brag on the CIT program here. That's Crisis Intervention Training. It is a 40-hour-a-week training for law officers and first responders. You have Lieutenant Stephen Kelly here, who is really a rock star. If you don't know that already, he is the host officer for this program, and recently was nominated for Host of the Year in North Carolina. So we are very proud to have him as the host officer for CIT. Just an update, we have held 4 of these classes in Anson County. 20 officers have been trained. They have come from the Anson County Sheriff's Office, the Lylesville Police Department, the Wadesboro Police Department, the North Carolina Office of the Courts, and the Department of Public Safety. So if you've never had the opportunity to just sit in on one of these classes or a portion of these classes, you're invited. Our next training will be December 5th, 2022, and I'll remind you, CIT is an effort between Sand Hill Center, the Sheriff's Department, the Police Departments, South Piedmont Community College, and all of the police forces. So would invite you to attend a CIT training if you're able. Also in your packet you have our annual report and our quarterly report. And with that, I will stop and see if you have any questions about the budget request or anything else I've said.
Okay, any commission have any questions for Ms. Whit? We thank you for all the things that you're doing in Anson County, and the meeting, I guess a week or so ago, was very good, and the reports we got from each of your, you said direct reports, was great. Some of the same information you covered tonight, so once again, we thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
And at this time, if there are no questions, we'll need a motion to approve the Sand Hills budget request.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Mims, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood, to approve the Sand Hills Center budget request for FY 22-23. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. It is unanimous. Sand Hills Center budget request is approved. Okay, next on our agenda is item 5, the Anson Landfill Citizens Advisory Committee appointments, and that's on page 224. We'll need to, we need a motion to approve these appointments.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Mims, seconded by Commissioner Bricken to approve the appointments to the Anson Landfill Citizens Advisory Committee. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, for the audience here as well as at home, would you read the names of those members, please?
Yes, sir, be glad to. District 1 is Mr. Thomas Curitan. District 2, Mr. John Montgomery. District 3, Mr. Houston Pratt. District 4, Mr. Paul Kiker. District 5, Mr. Eric Forbes. District 6, Mr. Horace Sullivan. District 7, Mr. LaTanya Wright.
That's a good group.
It's an excellent group, it really is. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure, thank you. Okay, I think we're, okay, the manager's report, item 7, the new facility signage and naming.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think enclosed in your packet are a couple options regarding signage for our new facility. As I reported to you all earlier, staff is in the process of making renovations to that facility in the hopes of moving in shortly. There's a budget change that you approved earlier. Hopefully we'll address all of the expenses that we anticipate. And I think the direction I would need from the board tonight in order, so we have time to order the appropriate signage, would be the type of sign you'd like there, as well as a name for the facility. There are a couple of name choices that have been floated around, such as the Anson County Operations Center, Anson County's Utilities Department, Anson County Water and Sewer Department. At this point, the operations will be centered, there will be primarily water and sewer, but we'll also have building inspections and environmental health. So at this point, those are the operations we plan to have there. And if we could probably get some direction on the name of the facility, that would be great. Also on signage, couple options there. The stucco sign is a little bit cheaper, about $1,000 cheaper. A lighted sign would be roughly $8,000. If there's any direction on that, I would appreciate that as well.
I have a few comments that I learned when I was superintendent of schools. The sign on the left, white sign, is a beautiful sign, and if everything being equal, I would certainly choose it. But what happens to these type signs? It won't be long before there'll be gray streaks, dark gray streaks running all down it. and you'll power wash it off, and they'll come right back. For that reason, I prefer the other sign.
Okay, I'm partial to the other sign as well, and, just for my 2 cents worth as far as the name is concerned, is, I don't guess there's anything wrong with the Operations Center, but I was kinda thinking about Anson County, Government Annex, because you're gonna have water and sewer, then you'll have other departments related to county government. So that's what I was thinking, Anson County Government, Annex. And then you put the names, like you got here, of the departments that's gonna be there: water, sewer, building inspections, environmental health. I think it's been suggested to take Brown Creek Soil and Water out of the building on Morgan Road, put them here. And, matter of fact, I don't remember now how many people this thing will hold, but, you know, we need to finalize who all's going in there, what makes sense to be put there. But I think what's been named so far does make sense to go there. If there's room for anybody else, then we just need to know that, and, or the staff and you get together and decide who those are and bring it back to us, and then we'll go from there.
Yes, sir.
That would need to be done by the time that these, getting the, internet and all the, lighting and all that stuff done, so it's ready to move in.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I agree with you. Brown Creek Soil and Water, I think that's a 2-person department, and Veteran Services is a 1-person department.
Right.
I think we need to consider Veteran Services moving into that new facility as well.
Yeah, and just putting this out there, some things I've come across is, 2 things. First of all, Veteran Services, where they're located now works really well for veterans coming in and have to wait. You know, they've got the coffee shop and all. But the other piece of it is that, and she came and made this presentation to us a couple months ago, they started what's called a Veteranpreneur program. And that works closely with our Economic Development Partnership, Mr. John Merritt. So my thinking, that might be a good reason for her to stay there. Not saying that she can't be moved, but I just want to make sure the board was aware of that.
I know there's a square footage concern, but the county extension office kind of overlaps a little bit with Brown Creek. They're both kind of an ag-based program that maybe if they were together could be positive. It may be that the extension office needs to be where it is because of the size, the square footage. So I don't know that that's possible, but just the fact that those 2 departments kind of do have some overlap there.
It will be worth looking at. I'm about like you, I can't say whether it will fit or not, I don't know, but that will be worth looking at, Mr. Pond.
Yes. One other thing on the signs, I agree with Dr. Sims on the light color having streaks. Is there an option for the design of the white colored sign to actually just be dark instead? Because that design looks a lot better.
Yeah, it's a nice design.
Yeah, I like the design, but
Could we use that lower design and then go with the color from above? Is that a possible combination?
That's something I could look into. That sign is not lighted from the inside. The darker sign is the one that's lighted from the inside. So that's kind of one of the guidance as to what kind of signage you would want. Do you want it backlit or not lit?
that was the reason I was kind of liking that one too.
I like
because
it
it's
lighted.
Yeah, okay.
I agree with JD, though, that the other sign is an attractive sign.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Well, I'll look into that in terms of trying to get a backlit sign in the design of the white example that's in your packet.
Okay. Okay. All right, Ron?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, next item is the chairman's report. I think we all got the email about the training from the LGC. I know Mr. Palmer's gonna check on that to make sure it was gonna meet what we need. Of course, I'm thinking this guy, Mark Baker, that sent it, he's in the Department of Finance with the LGC, would know, but that's something that we need to look at and actually determine. And I'm not sure if you've done anything as far as knowing all the ins and outs of it. Do we need to go as a board, or can we go individually? Or I'm thinking it would be better if we went as a board, that way everybody hears the same thing at the same time.
There's no reason you all can't be trained or go to that training together. I know that Central Lina has just moved their facility.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not exactly sure where it's at now, but I
Okay.
believe it's in the university area.
Right.
But I don't think it will not be a problem to coordinate getting you there as a group. I think it'd be good if we were all together. along with Miss Berry. I know Miss Berry is registered as well, so
Okay.
to be together and hear everything at the same time, I think will be important.
All right.
And I do have a call into that gentleman on some other issues, and I'll clarify that with him as well.
Okay. So you recommend just go ahead and I'm pretty sure there's several dates out there and I hadn't looked because I got ready to go into it and I said, well, if I'm not sure what we're gonna do as a board, I better not register and then have to change it, so. Guess let's kind of get our thoughts together and get something out to us so we'll know which way to go.
Yes, sir.
When we're talking about dates, I was kind of wondering on, I think we had talked about a school board meeting where we were gonna overlap, and was that gonna be tonight we talked about?
Well, I did have it, but there's been a change, and I'm just gonna mention this. They're looking at, you know, the grant that they're applying for to get the rest of the money to build a new middle school. As I understand it, they'll probably know something by the middle of May. So they would like to meet after they've got that information. I think that makes sense. So Ms. Hyatt, their clerk, and Ms. Cannon are gonna coordinate and come back with the date once they know what that date is. I had that on the notes and I scratched it off, but okay, that's good. Also, was informed by Mr. Sessions, Utilities, that Hazen and Sawyer, the engineering firm, they're wanting to determine a date that they're coming to meet with him, but he's extending the invitation to the commissioners, any commissioner that would like to come. And so it's not a meeting, but it'll be there, you know, we'll be there to ask questions, get information, or just hear what's being presented to Mr. Sessions. And right now, it looks like the date they're looking at is April the 13th and the 14th. And they came back and said that April the 13th was actually the best date for this. And if that didn't work for us, then they'll look at May. They're pretty open in May. So right now, I'm asking if April the 13th works for everybody. If it does, I'll just give Mr. Sessions to go ahead for them. And it'll be like 10 o'clock in the morning until about 12. We say it'll probably take a couple hours.
13th is fine with me.
It's good with me.
Good.
Everybody
Okay,
good?
13th, folks.
It's on a Wednesday.
Wednesday.
In fact, it's it'd be next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, yes.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of meeting?
The engineering firm, for the name, Hazen and Sawyer, that we approved to do the work with the county. They'll want to come and meet with Mr. Sessions and Mr. Harrington, and he's opening he's opening it up for the commissioners to attend, anybody that wants to. Like I said, it's not a meeting. We'll just be there for informational purposes, which I'm thinking we can ask questions if we got them, but we'll be in on the discussions. And it's really quite extensive, the information that's got to be put together to go after the grants that we're looking for water and for wastewater treatment.
And distribution.
And distribution, right, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, do we know what time on the 13th?
10 to 12, is that?
10
o'clock in the morning. 10 o'clock.
No longer than 12,
Okay.
And where will we meet?
right here,
Right here.
as long as that's okay with you, Denise. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sessions, you can proceed with that. Set it up. The last thing that I've got is, I think everybody's aware of the fact that because of redistricting, we have a new senator, and his name is Senator David Craven Jr. He's representing Anson County now. Senator McInnes has been shifted further east, I believe it is. And Senator Todd Johnson is going to bring him to Rotary on Thursday. So I'm extending an invitation to any commissioner who would like to come and meet him. Please do so. I'll need to know who's coming so I can have you as my guest. But I've not met this individual. I don't know him. We know Senator Johnson, but don't know Senator Craven. Right now, he currently represents Guilford and Randolph counties. So I guess he's going to pick up Anson in addition to that, as I understand it. But he'll explain all that when he's there.
Thursday the 7th?
Thursday the 7th, yes.
What time?
12. We meet at 12 at Willaca Lake Fish House.
Okay, I can go.
Okay. Okay, that takes care of all I've got. Okay, Commissioner concerns, petitions, announcements, and comments. Commissioner Gatewood, follow up on the mask mandate.
Yes, sir. At our last meeting, we decided to defer until this month to make a decision on whether we continue with the mask mandate or not. And my recommendation is, given the situation with COVID as it is today, that we eliminate the mask mandate and we make it individual responsibility. So if you want to wear a mask, fine. If not, that's fine as well.
I make a motion that we end all of the COVID mandates in the county right now.
Do you have a list of all of them, Mr. Brickens?
Well, that has to do with the number of people that are allowed in the building. It has to do with getting your temperature taken. And the mask, I think, is the three that I'm aware of.
I guess while we're waiting on the second, my thinking is we probably, and I know the positivity rate, I think Ms. Bird, our last meeting reported it was right around, a little better than 3%. And I'm thinking out of just a concern for caution is, rather than just doing away with everything all at once, we can do away with the mask now. Take a look at the social distancing and temperature checks and all that next month. And if everything's still going the same way, we'll eliminate them one at a time until we get them all done. The other thing that would tie into is the security person downstairs. Once all this is gone, we will not need that person anymore, and we should have it all done by the end of June, and that's when the budget runs out for his position, and it can all kind of go away at the same time, if that makes sense.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we eliminate the mask mandate ASAP today and deal with the other two items at a future meeting.
Okay, just a point of order, we've got a motion on the floor already, so if Commissioner Bricken will withdraw his motion, then yours is good.
I'll withdraw, and if it's appropriate to second Commissioner Gatewood's motion. Okay.
For discussion, I've just got a brief comment. This is my personal opinion. The mask protects you from only two things, really. It protects you if you're up close to somebody that's coughing or sneezing or actually breathing on you. That's all.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Gatewood, seconded by Commissioner Bricken, that we eliminate the mask mandate, or remove the mask mandate, I should say. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Okay, motion carried. It is unanimous.
All right.
Okay. Update on the evaluation of the fire hydrants, Commissioner Bricken.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
If I may, there's an issue with whether the board would sign the court order by,
Oh, the judge?
Judge
Yes.
Futrell.
Yes, we'll do that.
Okay.
Who will be,
That was asked of me today. I'll report that to him.
Yeah, who will be responsible for getting that to us?
Thank you, sorry, I've been in court all day. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No, that's not what I said. You said I got to sign something. Who will be responsible for getting that to us?
Well, I thought you had a copy of it. I'll make sure you have a copy of it.
I don't know.
You'll have it tomorrow before 12.
Okay, yes, we'll be glad to.
I believe the health director needs to sign it as well.
Okay. Okay, fire hydrant, Mr. Brick.
We were talking about evaluating the fire hydrants, and one of the concern I had is it would seem that would be a really good potential use of the COVID money, because it's kind of an across the board that we all districts share in a certain number of fire hydrants that need to be repaired. So I think in the last meeting we were talking about an evaluation just to look at the immediate needs of the fire hydrants that may be broken. Of course, we need to add fire hydrants in the long-term strategy, but the ones that are actually in need of repair, that I'd like to kind of get an update on that.
Well, Commissioner Bricken, I've spoken to Mr. Sessions and about the condition, and also we were at a meeting where several fire chiefs were expressing their concern. I think we have developed an evaluation of trying to develop a listing of the hydrants that were either need to be replaced or simply needed to be repaired. We are behind in that area, and I think we're moving towards correcting that, but frankly I think we're probably going to need to put some money in the budget to contract for some of that so we can get caught up in those areas. I know that Mr. Sessions is here if he has additional information, but that's my understanding of where we're at on the hydrants.
Well, and one of the reasons I wanted to bring it up too, when we're ready to meet with Hazen, is could we then incorporate that into the program? Okay, because that would be a perfect use of their contract that they could then. Okay, so if that's, go ahead.
I do wanna let you know, Chris has, sent out a list of all the fire departments to let us know, which hydrants are in need.
Yeah.
We've only heard from 2, so we're just waiting to hear back, and Rodney's, also, he sent it too, right? So we're just waiting. Some of the things are very minor, and, but we just have to go, and hydrants are very expensive now, over $4,000.
I know. And then we've got an issue too with some of them that are actually more of a standpipe than a hydrant. So when we look at a hydrant on the side of the road and people feel like that's a hydrant that you could hook up to and fill a tanker truck, if it's got a 2-inch pipe feeding it, you're not really going to get what you think out of it. And so maybe in the evaluation, when Hazen works with you all, they could determine how many of those hydrants are actually on 6-inch line, 4-inch line, or 2-inch, and whether they're really capable of filling a tanker truck. And if
Well,
nothing,
Yes, sir. The long goal will be that they look at our whole system,
yeah,
and we can get pressure, that's the total goal. This is a long process, as, Mr. Chairman and I have talked about, and it's a long process, but it will be worth it for Anson County for years to come if we can see this through.
And one last thing, if they are 2-inch pipes and they're more of a standpipe than a true hydrant, would there not be maybe a consideration to paint them a different color? So if you're coming from a different district and you want to hook up, I guess you can see the outlets on them and realize that they're not going to give you a full tank. But in a hurried up situation, emergency, and somebody comes from all the way across the county thinking there's a hydrant there, maybe a color code or something. And I'm just
2-inch hydrants only have one nozzle on them, so.
Okay, so they'll know then.
Yeah,
Okay.
the 4-inch has 2 and the 6-inch has 3.
Okay, so
Any
like,
fireman should.
Yeah, they should know.
they should know.
that.
The only thing that I'm worried about though is when the people that live on the road think they have a hydrant that's gonna fill a tanker. I guess eventually we just gotta keep that in mind, because some of those 2-inch ones, like you said, with one outlet, I know the guys will know that, but it's a little bit misleading to think that you have a hydrant that's gonna fill a tanker truck if it's way out on the end of a dirt road with a little 2-inch pipe feeding it. So, yeah, but I appreciate that.
Okay, the next one's yours also, the water contract with Union County.
And the water contract with Union County, from what I understand, in 2023, possibly in June, we're gonna lose that contract, and I think it's, from what I've understood, is about $100,000 a month. And if that's right or wrong, or close, or maybe whatever information we could find, because you're gonna need to replace that revenue with something, and I hope you're anticipating, if that is coming, what are we gonna do?
Well, that's why I had talked to you about the other possibility up there.
And we have, I appreciate Mr. Sessions' conversation. I think we just all have to get on the same page of going out there and getting that other customer. And so that's our conversation, what made me want to bring this up, because I want to support that idea.
Right.
So.
I think that other customer, just because of the situation up there, we'd have a good chance of doing that, so yeah.
Yeah, they came to us, but the people that came are gone, but we just found that out right before, the last interim left, our left. So, but, I mean.
I think we just need to keep our finger on the pulse there and do what we need to do to get in on it and make sure that we get that. And Mr. Pond, I'll fill you in on it, because there's a little bit of history behind this, so I'll make you aware of what it is.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that takes care of the commissioner concern. Well, wait a minute. What I was talking about at ACTS, you know, right now, I think everybody's familiar with it, but South Piedmont Community College has a program where students from Anson County go free. There's no tuition charge. Once they get their associate's degree, we also have an agreement with the Wingate University, where anybody that has their associate degree from South Piedmont Community College can go to Wingate University for 2 years at a maximum cost of $2,500 a year.
Wow.
So they can get a 4-year degree if they finish in 2 years for $5,000 and get it from Wingate University, and that's a bargain. What I'm
Students that
thinking,
don't realize how costs are. Right now, Carolina and State run about $40,000 a year, and Duke University, that's D-O-O-K, by the way. Duke University is running about $80,000.
so what I'd like to do is have the county manager and ACT staff. I'm thinking that we might have, that we've got students in Anson County that would take advantage of this program if they had transportation. And I'd like to investigate the possibility and what it would take for ACTS. I know we can't go around everywhere, but maybe some pickup points in all of the municipalities that people could probably get to. Then we could transport them to the Polton campus or even the Union County campus as far as that's concerned. And I think that's something that we need to look at and hopefully be able to implement. Yes, sir. Okay, that takes care. Yes, sir.
Just one
Mr.
comment.
Chairman, can I say something?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner
You
Sturman?
and I spoke at the meeting with, the other week up at, South Piedmont Community College, 'cause this was something Chairman Ross Street and I had talked about 3 or 4 years ago. We have so many ladies in Anson County that, do not have transportation.
Okay.
You know, I was telling you that was one of the things I wanted to bring before the board, and you stated that that was also something that you were thinking about,
Yes, ma'am.
because, they used to have programs there at Lockhart Taylor building where they could get a certification of different degrees, and it was moved to the Polkton campus. And they do not have transportation.
Okay.
And, I thank you for bringing it up tonight. And I hope the other commissioners really consider doing this. If we only had one van at first.
Right, yeah. I think we need to, that's why I'm asking the county manager to look into this with the ACTS staff and just see what it would take and what it would take to implement something like this, and so we can make plans to move in that direction would be my thinking. Okay, thank you, Mr. Sturman. Mr. Gatewood, you have something?
Yes, sir, I do have just one quick item, and that is, Ms. Sherry Pons, Ms. Jackson indicated she started working at DSS in 1992. That means she worked several years with my mama. So that's been a long time. I've also had the opportunity, the pleasure of working with Ms. Sherry Pons and Ms. Penny Henson. They're top-notch people. Hate to see them go, but wish them well in their retirement. I say all that to say this. Our longevity pay plan is antiquated. The eligibility date is November 30th. And if you don't work until November 30th in a particular year, you don't get anything. These are long service employees, and I think that we need to reconsider our longevity program and prorate the payment. Whereas these two individuals, according to my calculation, each of them would have received $400 if we had a prorated system. North Carolina State Office of Personnel, they also have a longevity program, they prorate it. UNC Chapel Hill, they have a longevity program, they prorate it.
Well, okay, is this something that the board would like for the county manager to get with Ms. Ingram, HR, and update the longevity? I guess we need a motion to do that.
I'll make a motion that we task the county manager to get with HR to review our longevity pay program and consider a proration.
Proration instead of dead cutoff.
That is correct.
We have a motion from Commissioner Gatewood, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded,
That's all right.
seconded by Commissioner Dr. Sims, any further discussion? All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, with like sign? Okay,
Thank you
hearing
very
none,
much.
it's unanimous, the motion is approved.
And the other thing, there were several commissions that attended two very important events this past month. One was the PD Electric ribbon cutting in Liesville. Mr. Spricken, Mr. Mims represented us extremely well with his presentation. Ms. Sturdivant was there, and I also attended. It was a beautiful facility, well-organized open house, and I really enjoyed it. And the second one is the Caraway Business and Learning Center. That happened just this past Saturday. Mr. Bricken, Ms. Sturdivant, Mr. Woodburn, Mr. Mims, and I all attended, and it was a really special event, so I just wanted to make note of those.
Who was that named after? Cause I had a teacher named Caraway.
Tina, it's, well, we call her Tina, but Angela Caraway.
Okay.
Is Miss Sarah Burns' daughter?
Okay.
Right. Okay, thank you, Commissioner Gatewood, and I also like to thank, Commissioner Mills for filling in for me at the PD Electric, because I was out of town that day, so thank you. Okay, that takes care of our agenda, except for our closed session. We have a closed session for personnel and to consult with the attorney. We thank everybody for coming out, and we appreciate your input, and at this time, we will entertain a motion to go into, closed session.
Make a motion that we go into closed session, Mr. Chairman.
Motion from Commissioner Gatewood, second. Is there a second? Somebody give-
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mills to go into closed session.
Ah.
All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. It is unanimous. We are now back in open session.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion to make.
Sir.
That's okay. I'd like to make a motion that the old McClendon Funeral Home property at 901 North Green Street and the old house where the roof is caving in at 711 Salisbury Street both be demolished.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Gatewood, seconded by Commissioner Dr. Sims, that the old McClendon Funeral Home and the house at 711 Salisbury Street be demolished. Any further discussion? The only thing I'll add is, and we may not have to, but that house on Salisbury Street is within the municipal limits of the town of Wadesboro. If we need any involvement, any help from them or not.
If they wanna do it first, they're welcome to it. But if not, we need to get with it.
So at this point, then, I just want to put that out there. It's something that we have to be aware of, that we have no jurisdiction inside the city limits of any of the municipalities. So I'm thinking there's going to have to be some coordination there between us and the county and the town of Wadesboro. So now, all in favor, let me know by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carried, it is unanimous. Those two buildings.
Thank you very much. I'll sleep a lot easier tonight.
Move the meeting be adjourned.
Okay. Got a motion by Commissioner Dr. Sims to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Sure there's no discussion. All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.